some veterans get up in the morning and go, I can't. And they push through because they've got a family, they've got obligations, but sometimes it just gets in the way and they end up being underemployed. They end up not being able to collect the kinds of income, the kinds of lifestyle that they otherwise might have been able to do. And then they complicate it even more by saying the VA system is not worth it. I don't have to go through that process.
You hit a wall, and the wall, it's like, I'm probably not going to qualify anyways.
When we go into a conflict, when we go into a war, there needs to be a calculation, not just of the cost of the war, but the cost of treating the veterans that come out from that war.
Yeah,
for the rest of their lives.
Totally discounted, totally not thought of.
I don't think it's thought out at all.
Each financial decision is not in a silo by itself. It has to be looked at and how it relates to something else in your plan. And most people are not looking at the big picture.
This is John Smallwood. I am back on Money Isn't, and we are again going to celebrate veterans today. And I want to welcome Todd Wesche. You were with us about 9 months ago now. No, about a year ago.
About a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome.
Thank you for having me again.
That episode that we did was probably, I learned the most about veterans benefits, the lack of benefits that I've ever known in my 35-year career of wealth management. And it seems to be so overlooked. And the response rate to that podcast has been absolutely incredible. And I know you've really helped a lot of people as a result of it.
The response was amazing. And I was so glad that the podcast was able to reach so many people who otherwise would not have heard the really important message about how veterans can get their benefits and why it's important for them to do so. And quite simply, they were promised these benefits when they enlisted. They earned them through their service, and now they deserve them because of their disability. So there's really no reason to not take advantage of the opportunity that presents itself.
And when people think about disability, they think about like, well, I can't get up and I can't go to work.
Right.
And and this is what I wanted to bring out today is even when I bring it up to people, they're like, well, I'm not disabled. I work. I have a great job. Mm-hmm. But you are in a format you've lost hearing. You have ringing in your ears. You have PTSD. You have things that are putting a cap on what you actually can contribute to your job. You have things that are keeping you down, not allowing you to be the best version of yourself.
And I think that's kind of an important distinction there. Disability people think about as life-changing conditions. You know, they've lost an arm, or they're living in a wheelchair, or they've got a severe psychiatric condition. And yes, those are disabling conditions. But VA looks at things as simple as flat feet, or tinnitus, the ringing in your ears, or even scars, discolored skin. Things that don't generally consider to be a disabling condition are disabilities under the VA law. So pretty much the way I look at it is, if you look at yourself as a perfect specimen of humanity, you are perfect at birth, and you look at any changes to your systems, internally, externally, body, mind, anything, that is different than it was before you went into the military as compared to when you left the military, then that change can be a disability because it's not something that functions the way it's supposed to. It's not doing what it's designed to do by God or by evolution or whatever you want to call it. You're different.
And you've worked around it. You've adapted because humans are incredibly adaptive. And as a veteran, you are adaptive. That's
exactly what we do. And then we're trained to push through. We're trained to mission at all costs. You know, if you get a boo-boo, if you get injured in any way, shape, or form, it's almost like in the military, you know, suck it up, buttercup. Don't complain.
Right.
You know, here's some Advil. Keep doing your job.
Keep on.
Keep on. And so that gives even veterans today who are separated from service yesterday or 20 years ago, doesn't matter, that mentality kind of sticks in there and says, you know what, I'm not that bad. Somebody else is worse off than I am. I don't need the benefits. And so I'm not going to take advantage of the system. But really, even something as simple as tinnitus, that ringing in your ears, all as annoying as it can be, isn't really going to prevent you from having a job in many circumstances, from earning an income to supporting your family. But VA is still going to pay you for it if you claim it and you can prove that it was connected to your military service. So yes, the severe things, PTSD, amputations, traumatic brain injuries, absolutely. Back issues.
Legs.
You name it.
Tendon issues.
Of course, those are going to be disabling. You're going to feel the pain. You're going to limp. You're going to have the psychiatric issues. You're going to maybe be explosive or angry or
exposure to certain elements that have changed your body.
Or chemicals, you know, the toxic exposures in the Middle East and things like that. All of those things. And the VA recently with the PACT Act even said that sinusitis, just a constantly clogged nose, the sinuses, that's a disability too. So things that you go is like, well, that's just an everyday thing.
That's one of the most annoying things ever.
Yeah, it's an everyday thing. You get it from a cold, you get it from environmental exposures, you get it from whatever. That can be a disability that can be compensated. So I fear that a lot of veterans think it's not bad enough. It's not worth the effort to even go through the complicated VA system just to get 10% or $150 or something like that for my tinnitus.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's what I wanted. I wanted to have you back because there's this overwhelming belief that I don't really deserve the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And my position is, if you're listening to this, you either are or you know somebody that served and is a veteran. And my position is, you sacrificed. You made a sacrifice to protect this beautiful country, okay? And that it set you back in your career, it changed things, it did things, it gave you a better career, it did whatever, okay? But as a result of that, you actually, veterans deserve more than they're actually receiving. And when you don't pick up what you are supposed to get, you're leaving wealth, you're leaving opportunity, you're leaving your ability to make a difference in other people's lives. You're reducing your own capabilities. And I believe a veteran should actually have more for the sacrifice than what they have now. Smallwood Wealth Management is the lead sponsor of this podcast. You have an opportunity to have a free, no obligation conversation with one of our qualified advisors. Go to smallwoodwealth.com, schedule a call, or call us at 800-797-1000 and get on our calendars.
I think a lot of veterans are motivated by the sense of mission,
Correct.
Their sense of purpose. And they go in the military. It might have been for 9/11. It might have been for any number of reasons. And they go in, they do their 4 years or their 20 years, and they come out, and that sense of purpose, that sense of mission that they had when they were in the military kind of evaporates.
Yep.
And there's a sense of kind of, for a lot of veterans, not every veteran, but a lot of veterans kind of like, okay, now what's the next chapter going to be? What am I going to do? And they're now facing that question, what am I going to do with the rest of my life, in the face of their body not being the same as it was when they enlisted.
Correct.
Either psychologically or physically. And that adds that extra little burden on them to try to figure out not just what they're going to do next, but how they're going to do that in light of the fact that they're not as capable as they used to be. And they might be having a psychological disability. PTSD is so common and so rampant in the veterans community. Anxiety disorders, whether it be PTSD or not, are so common.
Yeah.
That you think about a high stress, high impact type of industry, like high technology, or anything that involves like a rapid kind of
manufacturer.
Yeah. The core of that business is going to be stressful. It's going to be layering on stress on top of stress. And so a lot of those high paying jobs,
sales even
sales, technology, sales, anything where there's going to be a level of stress that's going to then compound on top of the veterans' existing stress from their anxiety and whatnot, is just going to make it even that much harder to be successful over the long term or even in the short term in their careers and whatever they choose to do with the rest of their life. So a lot of veterans just say, I'm not going to bother. And they get jobs that are under their capabilities because it's less stressful for them.
Correct.
And that's
that underemployment.
Underemployment.
Which is a disability.
I think it's the result of the disability. It's a carry-on.
It's a symptom of being not able to fully be who you are in the world because of some sort of thing.
Right, right. And imagine it, just even something as simple as fat feet. That takes so many jobs out
Was
of the
that fat or flat?
Flat,
I'm just
flat, like fat, well, fat feet too. But you think about your ability to stand for long periods of time on your feet. That takes away a lot of manufacturing jobs that aren't highly skilled. Nursing jobs. You think about a job that involves your back, like lifting and carrying things. If you've got a back disability. A back disability also keeps you from sitting for long periods of times in a chair. You get up and sit down, get up and sit down repeatedly during the day.
Back issues are debilitating.
And then you add on top of that the depression or the anxiety that comes from the fact that you have a disability. So now you're depressed about your disability, and so you're less likely to get out of bed. You're lethargic. You're not as motivated during the day because you're thinking about your back because it's always in pain. You're thinking about your feet because they're always in pain. You're thinking about
the first thing you do when you get out of bed is you think about your back.
You think about your pain, yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just a struggle for veterans. And I'm not saying every veteran. I think a lot of veterans do find ways to succeed in this area.
Yeah.
But some veterans get up in the morning and go, I can't. I just can't.
Right.
And they push through because they've got a family, they've got obligations, and they're mission focused. They're going to do what they have to do. They're going to do what they can. I fully believe that they have their best interest in mind. They're going to try if they can. But sometimes it just gets in the way, and they end up being underemployed. They end up not being able to collect the kinds of income, the kinds of lifestyle that they otherwise might have been able to do. And then they complicate it even more by saying the VA system, it's not worth it. I don't have to go through that process.
The roadblocks are incredible. Like, go into the last episode that we did last year.
Yeah.
I mean, the roadblocks that we discussed, I think I was shocked by the amount of roadblocks. And like, you hit a wall, and the wall, it's like, I'm probably not going to qualify anyway. So you give up. And my position is, when we look at disability planning for anybody, you work for a company, right? They have group disability, right? That's wonderful because it's typically free. Mm-hmm. But there are limitations and there are caps. And when you start getting into specialty things such as an attorney, like a trial attorney, okay, or a physician that has a specific specialty, or a nurse or a business owner, you look at the disability, and one of the things that's really a great addition to the benefit is typically we look at it as, if I'm disabled and I can't work, I need to replace the income. Mm-hmm. The most valuable asset is your ability to get up every day and work,
right,
and generate income, okay? And it's usually like black and white. If I'm disabled, I get $10,000 per month till 65, maybe 70, maybe for 5 years. But what we don't capture is the residual. I'm disabled for 18 months and I come back to work, and instead of making, $150,000, I'm now making $75,000, which brings me back to exactly what we talked about earlier, is I'm now under earning as a result of my limitation from something. Now, that residual benefit on a good disability policy pays a partial benefit. Mm-hmm. And if you lose a certain percentage, it could kick in the entire benefit, which is designed to help you live the same lifestyle. Disability protection is that purpose. Now, what's beautiful about the veteran's disability, correct me if I'm wrong, it's lifetime.
It's lifetime so long as you're still disabled. You still have to have a disability.
Correct.
So as long as you have a disability and it meets certain symptomatologies type of thresholds, for example, a disability that's less severe is going to get paid less. Disability that's more severe is going to get paid more.
Correct.
And they have scales between 0% and 100% and 10% increments. So you can have one disability at 10%, another one at 50%, one at 70%, one at 40%. You can do that.
And one could be lifetime. It could be shorter. Yeah.
And if the disability gets worse, you can make a claim for an increase, and you can get bumped up from a 30 to a 50. That's possible. If it gets better over time, they can take it back down to 30. They're compensating you for the actual effects of the disability on your ability to earn an income. But it's not just on you. They do it kind of in a generalized across the civilian workforce type of perspective. So it's not income replacement. It's never designed to be income replacement.
No.
Somebody who's sweeping floors can be just as disabled as a CEO. And the government's not going to compensate them at the exact same rate for income replacement purposes.
Correct.
What they're going to say is, in the civilian workforce, this disability at this rating has this kind of economic effect on that person on an average, on a continuum. And because of that, we'll compensate that disability percentage, 10%, 30%, 50%, whatever, at specific rates that relate to that percentage. So a 10% disability could be $150 a month, roughly, approximately. Well, 100% disability is $3,800 a month, a little bit more than that.
Tax-free.
Tax-free. So the whole, and you hit on this a little bit earlier, the idea of the compensation system is to help fill that gap of what they would have been able to earn and what they're actually earning. So if you think about it, if you're 10% disabled, you have 90% of your ability still left, which means you can use that 90% to go get a job, earn an income, create revenue for yourself.
Right.
And you're 10% unable to do that. So that 10% helps fill that gap.
And that's really interesting too, because typical disability insurance, like if I have it through my employer and I go back to work, I lose the disability benefit.
Mm-hmm.
This is, you can make as much money as you're making, but as long as you can prove that you are disabled because of these reasons, you could still collect the full benefit,
Yes.
regardless of what you're earning.
There is no, it doesn't matter if you're making any income at all or not.
Yeah.
You can be, for most benefits, there's a benefit called unemployability, which this does not apply to. And pension benefits don't apply to this. But if you're talking about the basic VA disability compensation benefit, income is irrelevant.
Correct.
You could be a millionaire, you could be bringing in $1 million a year, or you could be living on welfare checks.
Correct.
And
It
you're gonna
doesn't
get paid
matter. It doesn't discriminate.
It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter. So if you're 100% and a millionaire, you're still going to get $3,800 a month. If you're 100% and you're living on the streets, you're still going to get $3,800 a month.
Right. So like I want to frame this conversation a little bit differently for a second. And I want to get people listening to this to think about, put yourself in a position, you could be 50 years old and you're working and you're making a good income, but you're now trying to accumulate wealth, right? Because you got kids that are going to college, you've got to get this retirement, you're hitting this, fictitious age 65, which is now 67 for full Social Security benefits. This thing that says I must retire from what I was doing. I want to argue that if you're really good at what you're doing, why would you stop working? Warren Buffett is 90-something years old. He's still working. Why? Because he loves doing what he's doing. Whole other question. But if you think about this, if you're making $200,000 a year or $100,000 a year or $80,000 a year, just whatever it is, right? If you have served, you are a veteran and you have a disability and you can pick up from a 10% disability to 100% disability, this is tax-free money going to come into your plan, which will allow you to do one of three things, right? To enjoy it,
Right.
to save it, or something in between both of those, right? And if you save it, you have to think about what would it do to jumpstart and actually get me to the retirement zone, or what could I use that money that normal services aren't giving me to invest in myself and make different changes to start a business. I mean, that could be, hey, I hate working for Bobby and he's a pain in the ass, but it's my only job. And now I can get this disability benefit that is really valuable, because like $3,800 a month tax-free is kind of like $5,000 or $6,000 in, you think about your salary.
Right.
Where there's FICA, there's all kinds of stuff coming out of it. That's pretty similar. Now that might allow me to go do my own thing without the pressure. That's the key.
That's one of the great things about this money is the VA disability compensation benefit. Once it's in your pocket, veterans can use it any way they want to. There is no restriction on it. It doesn't have to be used for medical expenses. It doesn't have to be used for child support. It doesn't have to be used for anything.
Yeah.
It can be used for whatever the veteran wants it to be used for. Now, of course, if they got a child support order, they got to pay that.
Yeah. We're not,
But it can be used to do that, right? It can be a way to help take care of your obligations. It can be a way to pay off some debt. It can be a way to take less money out of your earned income to pay your mortgage and use the tax-free benefits from the VA to pay your mortgage.
Right.
You might be able to upscale your house. You might be able to take that, invest it in your own business. Or all things being equal, go on vacation and actually enjoy your life. You can use it any way you want.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about earlier, before we got on the podcast here, about what that money can look like over time.
Oh, yeah.
So it was astounding to me. I'd never done the calculation before, but recently I went down and pulled out my spreadsheet and figured out a veteran who has nothing today, and we'll just say January 1st, 2025, they have nothing. They're not getting anything from VA in the compensation benefits. If they're able to get the claim granted at 100%, meaning they're totally disabled, and you can do that even if you're working as a side point. You don't have to be unemployed to get 100%. You can be fully employed and still get 100%. But that aside, let's just say that you're making your regular wages, and we'll just kind of not pay attention to that right now. But just looking at the VA compensation, 0 to 100% in January of 2025 was worth about $3,865 or something like that, somewhere in that ballpark, just south of $3,900. If you take that and you factor in that VA every year gives a cost of living adjustment of roughly whatever the cost of living is.
Let's call it 3%.
We'll just call it 3% for the sake of argument. If you take that money and you just put it in the bank, and you take it all the way through for the next 20 years, and I picked 20 years because at 20 years, your rating becomes protected, and VA cannot take it away from you for the rest of your life.
Okay.
So you got that 20-year period plus whatever's beyond that until you die. But we'll just take that 20-year period. Just the pure accumulation of that, not including interest from saving it, not doing any
0% interest.
0% interest.
The raw dollar going into a 0% account.
Right. Just the money that VA is going to give you over the course of 20 years at 100% rating is more than $1.2 million.
Tax-free.
Tax-free.
Think of what you could do with that money.
It's amazing.
When I talk about wealth management, we talk about opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Right? So if I pay unnecessary dollars in taxes or waste or somewhere, not only have I lost the money, but I've lost what the money can do. So if you're not receiving benefits, you could have got 1.2 million over the next 20 years in benefits. There's an opportunity cost that is far, far, far greater than the $1.2 million.
Yes.
And the setup that you could do for your family, the setup you could do for yourself. I mean, even if you just enjoyed the money, the ripple effect with the people that you enjoyed it with,
yes,
would be exponential. I just think there's, and I feel funny that we're talking about this because it's like people have a benefit and it's they're not getting the right benefit, and they're getting clogged in the system. Mm-hmm. And then we're saying people aren't applying for this benefit, and I'm like, we're urging you to go get what's yours, and it's like, it's yours,
right?
And you deserve it. It's here for you. It's designed for you to keep this, and you're not getting it. My question is like, what else are you not getting in your life?
I mean, that's one of the side effects, and frankly, it's one of the things that veterans struggle with.
Yeah.
Is at some point they're telling themselves, and I'm not saying everybody does this, of course I'm making broad generalizations here, but when you're less of a person than you used to be, you see yourself as perfectly 100% capable. I went into the military at 18, and I was a perfect specimen of humanity. Yeah. And then I come out, and I'm, for lack of a better term, broken.
Correct. And now you've got that, you're carrying that around, and it's breaking you in a lot of other things.
Right. And it's hard to think of yourself as that person who is fully capable, with or without assistance, to have that successful life. So, and again, I'm not saying every veteran does this. I'm saying some veterans do this, and I've seen it in my own practice, where they kind of devolve a little bit into what their brain expects them to be. They live to the highest expectation of what their mindset's allowing them to do, and they're not able to see the possibilities beyond today.
So if I'm a veteran and I'm not or am collecting benefits, mm-hmm. what are the top actions you should be taking right now?
If you are or are not collecting benefits.
Well, let's say you are.
Okay.
Or you're not. Like
either way,
like what should I be doing? Like if I'm getting the maximum benefit, I probably shouldn't do anything because I'm getting the maximum benefit.
Well, the maximum benefit actually is not as, it's actually higher than you think it is.
Okay.
Because a lot of people think of 100% is the maximum. And there's a special status called 100% permanent and total, which is still the same 100%, but it gets you some extra little benefits, such as if you're 100%, then you still have to pay your student loan. I'm sorry, if you're 100%, you still have to pay your federal-backed student loans back. You have to pay those off. But if you reach 100% permanent total, then the Department of Education will waive the remaining debt.
Oh, so that's max.
That's a max, and the benefit of that is even under the new One Big Beautiful Bill, or HR1, the Congress made the amount of debt that's waived is not taxable for federal income tax purposes.
Forgiveness of debt is usually taxable. That is massive.
So if you get
Holy
$100,000,
crap.
if you get a $100,000 student loan forgiven,
Yeah.
not only are you getting that $100,000 back in tax-free waiver, but you're also getting the interest back on that you're paying.
Oh, that's incredible.
So it's an incredible benefit.
Right. So okay, whether you're getting benefits or not, you should take a couple of actions.
Right.
First thing is, are you getting the max benefit?
Well, if you're getting benefits already, absolutely you got to find out whether you're actually getting maximum benefits, because disabilities change over time. So if 10 years ago you had a back disabilities rated at 20%, and now it's worse, then maybe it's worth 40% now. Well, that 20% to 40% could be several $100s a month in your pocket.
No, isn't there some like back payment that you can also go after?
Only in certain circumstances. Generally speaking, the back payment's based on the date of the claim or the date of the intent to file a claim is received by VA. So
Okay.
if you got a claim 10 years ago and it was granted, and then you have an increase, you still have to tell VA, hey, I want an increase in my compensation payment because my disability has gotten worse.
So if I apply for that today, I'm not going to get back.
You're not
I'm
going to
just
get back
I'm
until
gonna
today.
But so there's okay.
Right. So it might
That
take
makes
them 3, 6, 9, 12 months to grant the benefit.
Then there's back
and they'll
pay.
backdate it to the date that you sought the claim,
Interesting.
but not before that.
Okay. What else? What are some other actions that I should be considering?
One of the things I think about for veterans who are not already in the system, who have not made their compensation claim, is to do what I call the blue line scan. And this is the idea of sitting in a sci-fi movie. And you've seen people have gotten shot, they're in sick call, they're on a white bed, they've got a dome over them, and there's a red or blue laser light scanning their body. You kind of get the picture, you've seen that before in the movies.
Oh, yeah.
So the veteran needs to imagine themselves in that bed. And that laser starts at their head and scans them all the way to the bottom of their feet. And at each point, and the veteran's doing this exercise kind of mentally, at each point, okay, at the top of my head, I got that laser light there, I'm losing my hair, so maybe I'll write that down. And then I think, oh yeah, I got hit over the head, or the hatch fell on my head during
scars, dent in my head.
Dent in my head. You know, maybe that hatch hitting my head from in the submarine caused. Maybe I have chronic headaches because of that nowadays. So you're just kind of going through your body and looking at every system, everything as that line slowly goes through your body, and you're making a note of that, because each of those things that are identified as being different than they used to be before service is a potential disability claim. And each one of those could be rated.
Each inch could have 100 things.
Each inch could be a different rating.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
Like
So-
from the top of your head to your chin, the amount of stuff that could be wrong
Right.
and that's going on is incredible.
Hearing loss, tinnitus, sinusitis, teeth is a little tricky, headaches, traumatic brain injuries, psychological issues.
Vision.
Vision in certain circumstances, yeah.
Yeah, blurred vision.
If it was caused by a trauma to your eyes as opposed to just your eyes getting old.
I walked in with 20/20 vision. I don't have it on the way out.
If you got a trauma to your eyes, then yes.
Yeah.
Not just your eyes
But
got
a trauma
worse.
to your head or trauma to yeah. No, I didn't. Yeah, it's not that I need contacts now.
Right.
Yeah, but there's a reason for it.
And then you get down to your neck. You're a backpack and you're carrying stuff around, and now your neck's got a bulge in it. So your headaches are at 50%, and hearing loss is 0 to 10%, and tinnitus is 10%, and psychiatric condition would be 50% or 70% pretty commonly, and a scar might be 0%, and your sinusitis might be 0 to 10%. Then you get that bulge in your neck that could be 0, 10, 20%, and you just keep going down, and you haven't gotten to your shoulders yet,
Yeah.
right?
So okay, so where would somebody do that?
So they just do that in their house. They just sit there with a piece of paper in their favorite chair, and they just write it down as they go, and that will give them.
Or you get a nice little chat bot and you just talk. You talk through it and it takes the notes, right?
However you want to do it. And that will give you the list that may form the basis of your VA compensation claim.
Now
Because-
you've got that list.
Now you got the list because a VA disability compensation claim has to have, as a core part of it, disabilities.
Right.
So you're identifying potential disabilities.
So
That's the cornerstone.
I do this. What did you call it? The blue
Blue line scan.
the blue line scan. I now have a document that I've identified a bunch of things.
Right.
Do I go to the VA? Where do I go?
At the same time, or even before you do that blue line scan, if you're going to make a claim or you think you're going to make a claim, at a minimum, you got to go to the VA and file what's called an intent to file a claim.
Okay.
And that's just a one-page form that tells VA, hey, I'm not ready to file the claim yet,
But I'm thinking about
but
it.
I'm thinking about it. I'm going to do it. And you have 1 year from the date of VA's receipt of that intent to file a claim form to actually file the claim.
Okay.
Which allows you to do that blue line scan, get all your medical records together, talk to your doctors, find out what else might be going on with you,
Get another exam
get
here.
things documented the way they need to be
Get some
documented.
blood tests or whatever it is.
Lay statements from your buddies who saw the
Full
incidents
body,
occur.
actual full body scan.
Whatever you want to do, whatever you think might be appropriate for those conditions, and then you can submit all that with the claim. And again, you get 1 full year to do that from the date of VA's receipt of the intent to file a claim, which gives you a full year to really think about what you want to file a claim for. And again, based on that effective date rule, if it takes 1 year to file your claim and another year to actually get a grant on some or all of those benefits or all those claims, then you potentially have 2 years of retroactive pay that'll get paid out because you get the period of the intent to file as well as the time of the actual claim paid out when they actually grant the benefits.
In a lump sum.
In a lump sum,
That's beautiful.
tax-free.
That's beautiful.
So quite possibly you could go from 0 to 100% if you do this. And you might have to wait 2 years to do it because you're working through the process, but you'll get that money.
Now I'm stuck in this process, and I don't feel like I got stonewalled. I didn't get the full. I don't feel like I'm getting fully compensated. What should I do?
If you don't feel like you're being fully compensated, there's a lot of different things that could happen there, but the biggest one is always going to be one of two things. Either the VA underrated you, the medical evidence didn't really reflect appropriately the severity of the condition or how it affects you as a human,
Okay.
or your disabilities got worse since the last examination. In the first circumstance, that's more of an appealable error where the VA said you're at 50, the evidence actually shows you're at 70. Or the doctors didn't produce evidence that showed that you're at 70, but you actually are at 70 for whatever the symptoms might be for that 70% rating.
Okay.
So you go through, you can either make a new claim called a supplemental claim, which is a form of appeal, or you can actually file an appeal, also called a supplemental claim, or a higher level review. It's one of those weird things that confuses people. Remember last time I talked about the spider webbing effect?
Yeah, totally. Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not to get into the technical details of how that all works for this purpose, but you can file a supplemental claim and say, hey, look, here's the evidence that shows that I should be at a 70% rating. Submit that to VA, and they have to adjudicate that through and give you a decision on it. If the condition's gotten worse, you basically do the exact same thing. You go in and you get the evidence showing that it's worse, and you file a supplemental claim saying, hey, it's worse, and I am entitled to a 70% rating from the date that it got worse. So there's two different periods there. It's really looking at the effective dates of the benefits. If you're on appeal because they got bad evidence, you could go back much further because you're in a current process, maybe filed it 2 or 3 years ago, and you're going through the system. You got your decision, you appealed, it's still not right, you do it again, and that claim is what we call alive. It's still a live claim.
Okay.
Well, if you've gotten your claim granted and it's now been 5 or 10 years since you got your grant and it's gotten worse at that point, then it's a new claim for an increase, in which case that new claim will have the effective date of when you file that intent to file or the actual claim itself for the increased benefits. So the difference is not necessarily what you're going to get on a monthly basis in compensation. It's the retroactive part that might be different.
And when does somebody reach out to a firm like yours?
As soon as they think they want to do it.
Okay. So Vetis Legal. I contact you. How are you helping me get through this?
So we're going to help a lot of different ways. One of which is for the veterans that are already in the system. We can just pick up the claim and run you through it as is,
Okay.
and help you develop the evidence, find out what's missing, develop the legal arguments, make sure the appeals are filed on time, and things like that. Our job is to make it easier for the veteran to just say, you know what, I'm not the expert here. I don't know how to do this on my own. I don't know the pitfalls. I don't know the technicalities. I don't know the regulations. I don't know what's hiding in the weeds. that could make my claim more difficult to prove, let the experts do it. And that's where we would come in and say, we can help you with that if it's within our ability.
And immediately I'm sitting here thinking, roadblock, I'm going to go to a legal firm. It's going to cost me money.
Yes.
And how does that work?
So the way we do it is ordinarily we'll do it on a contingency fee, which means that we only get paid if they actually win something.
Right. So it's technically, there's no upfront cost.
There's no upfront costs.
If you recover benefits, great, we're going to share with you. In that.
Exactly.
So there's really no cost. There's no risk for you to do it.
Exactly.
And you're going to help them get through it faster, quicker, cleaner, better because you've done it with how many people? A lot.
And a lot, yes.
I don't need the exact number, but it is like, it's a lot of people.
I've been doing it personally for over 20 years now. And my team collectively, the legal staff, we have 65 plus years of experience working with veterans and exactly doing this.
Yeah. I mean, so, and you are a veteran yourself.
I
You
am.
actually you have your own claim. You actually, and you can hear all about that on the last podcast. I think you should listen to the last podcast because it was really deep. But like, this is something that I think is so important. And you're not alone in this. And I think people feel alone, right? And if you feel alone, there are organizations like yours that is here specifically designed to help you not feel alone. Because a lot of times you hit the VA and somebody says, nah, and you walk out with your tail between your legs. And it's not necessarily the right thing. It was just somebody wanted to get home at 5. You know, they wanted to leave. And you walked in at 4:45.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't want to deal with this right now.
I am not a VA apologist. I'm not going to make excuses for VA. That's
No.
not my job.
No.
But there is a reality to the situation. And that is that the VA is made up of humans, people who I genuinely do believe want to do what's best for the client or for the veteran.
100%.
And their hands are tied by laws and regulations. Their hands are
Procedures, structure.
procedures, things that come down from on high from the president or the secretary of Veterans Affairs, whatever it might be, staffing shortages or budget cuts or whatever the case may be. And they're doing the best they can with the resources they're given. In an overburdened system where war after war, conflict after conflict, peacetime even, more and more veterans are being created, and a lot of them are coming out with a claim that they can file.
Yeah.
And so,
And they're not.
And they're not, but even then, imagine if they were. I think, and this is about as political as I'm ever going to get on a podcast, is I think that when we go into a conflict, when we go into a war, there needs to be a calculation, not just of the cost of the war, but the cost of treating the veterans that come out from that war for the rest of their lives.
Totally discounted, totally not thought of.
It's not thought about. I don't think it's thought out at all. Now, I don't have any proof of that. I can't say that definitively, but there's a sense among the community, I think among a lot of veterans, that once they become disabled, they're thrown into an overburdened system and forgotten about. And that's sad. And my goal as an advocate, as a disabled veteran myself, is to help people navigate that to the best of my ability and my team's ability so we can take that pressure off of them to figure it out themselves, to give them the chance to get the benefits that they were promised, earned, and deserve so that they can actually get exactly what the Congress and the president and the government and the people have told them that they should get for their sacrifice.
How does somebody reach you? How do they find you?
They can reach us at vetuslegal.com, which is vetuslegal.com.
I think the key here too is reaching out to you, picking up this number and calling that number is going to be really the important thing, and determining whether or not you guys can help. And that's a quick process.
That's a very quick process. We can usually get a good sense of somebody's claims and what we're able to do for them. 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. So I urge you to do this. And I think, in our show notes, you'll see a link to the website. The phone number will be there. The phone number is?
It's 1-508-205-2503.
And then you actually have your own podcast.
I do.
Specifically designed to help veterans do this. What is the name of the podcast?
It's the Vets with Benefits podcast.
The Vets with Benefits podcast. It is on YouTube. It is on Spotify.
It's on all the major
iTunes, all
platforms.
major mediums. So wherever you prefer to consume podcasts, subscribe, like, comment, share.
Absolutely. And if you can't find it on your major platforms, we're also at vetswithbenefits.us.
Vetswithbenefits.us.
Correct.
Love it. I really appreciate you being on today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Much
Pleasure.
appreciated.
Awesome. That was good.